Season 1 of the Apple TV Plus original series, Ted Lasso. And like any good lasso, this ropes you right in. See what I did there? Yeah, well, Ted would have thought it was funny. This is a really fun series and I enjoyed it very much. I stumbled on it by accident. Looking for something to watch one night, I clicked on it without meaning to and thought, I'll give it 10 minutes. I was hooked within the first 3. Actually stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning that night binge watching all 7 episodes that were available to stream, and then I freaked out because I realized it was going to be 3 more weeks before I could see the remaining episodes of the season. I liked it that much. Now I don't want to overhype it because it might not be your thing, but if you like good writing, good comedy, and great acting, I think this series is for you. It is British a little bit in style and in wit, but that shouldn't stop you because it's a fish out of water story. Jason Sudeikis plays the lead character, Ted Lasso, and Ted is an American collegiate football coach whose team wins the national championship. He's then invited to go to England to coach an English football team, and of course, English football is what we call here in America soccer. He takes that job without knowing anything about coaching European football, nor does he really understand British terms and terminology. So it's a fish out of water story, which is an age-old premise, but it works really well and is freshly interpreted here. It shouldn't bother you that it is British because we identify with Ted. As he's learning about things, we learn about things. To help out, he brings his assistant coach from America along, Coach Beard, and Coach Beard is played by Brendan Hunt. He has a great dry delivery, and he's a lot of fun here. He's a great foil to Ted. And he also acts as translator for Ted because he understands British terms and terminology. So he helps us as the audience as well. And then we start to meet the characters from England that are involved in the storyline, mostly the players from the Richmond team and the owner and staff of the administration of the team. They're all unique, they're all great individuals, they're all real people, and at the same time they're a little over the top, which creates comedy here. Still, you feel like you know them and you understand them and they're real, because this isn't just fluff comedy. While it might look like that in the trailer and you might think that Ted is just a Midwest Pollyanna who spouts philosophy, he's far more than that. His motivations for taking this job go deeper than just taking a professional job instead of a collegiate position. And we start to learn that he's a real person with real issues, but at the same time he believes in people and he's optimistic about things, and his way of thinking and his approach becomes infectious. You can even see that in the opening sequence of each episode when the credits roll. In that, Ted sits down in the stadium and he's in a sea of blue seats. And those seats start to turn orange and spell out the words Ted Lasso. Maybe that was intended to be that simple, but at the same time it sort of shows Ted's infectious effect on the people around him as he starts to help them change their way of thinking about things and looking at things differently. The show's a lot of fun because he has an effect on the people around him and they start to understand that they don't have to be so pessimistic about things. They approach things in a different way and they actually turn around and help him out at different times throughout the course of the series. It's great writing, it's very tight. They set up things in the very first episode that come back in the last episode, but it's not contrived in any way. It just works because it's natural. It feels like it flows. This show was never a chore to watch, it was a joy to watch, which is the reason that I wound up binge watching all 7 episodes that evening because I couldn't wait to find out what happened next. Very often when shows are streamed and the entire season is available, it's somewhat overwhelming and I feel like I have to lay siege to the show to get through it just because I feel like I need to get through it. I don't want to go from one show right to the next in the same evening. In fact, I take several days in between episodes. Not so with this series at all. I watched every episode I could, one right after the other. When new episodes were released, I watched them and then I went back and watched them again because they were so much fun. I laughed out loud seeing this. I laughed consistently through every episode, and I also felt something through most episodes because I was supposed to. There wasn't a character here that I didn't like, except the characters I wasn't supposed to like. The setup is somewhat similar to the old movie Major League with Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger. I'm sure they'd be thrilled I called it old at this point. But in any case, Ted is brought over to coach this team by the new owner. She's the wife of the former owner, and they went through a horrible divorce. And since this team is something that her ex-husband loved and he had cheated on her, she is determined to destroy this team. And hiring Ted was the first step in that process. She also has a sidekick, much like the film Major League had, Higgins, who's played by Jeremy Swift. And at first I couldn't place him, but he was the only character, the only actor other than Sudeikis that I felt like I knew. And then I realized that he had played Sprat in Downton Abbey and was sort of a fan favorite. There, the similarities to Major League end. And it's very different, and when you think you know where this is going, it doesn't go there. You think it's going to turn left and it turns right. It surprises you at every turn, and it's a pleasant surprise. It finishes the way you want it to, even though it's not the finish that you want, if that makes sense. But it will once you've seen it. I don't want to say too much more about the plot because I don't want to spoil it, because I hope you get a chance to see it. I realize it's on Apple TV and not everyone is subscribed to that. But if you have a friend who is, I suggest you get together and have a watch party. You won't be disappointed. Remember, it does have British comedy. It's not for the kids. It's different, but it's true to the comedic style of shows that want to both make you laugh and make you think, and also sometimes make you feel. It's a really good show that's well acted. I'm excited that there's going to be another season, but even if there wasn't, unlike Richmond, or maybe like Richmond, this show did have a perfect season. Definitely one to see.